Surah Al-Ikhlas, The Purity, by Sayyid Qutb, translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Say, He is God who is one, God the eternal, the uncaused cause of all being. He begets not, nor is he begotten, nor is there to him any equivalent. This brief chapter of the Qur'an, known as Surah Al-Ikhlas, is said to be equivalent to 1/3 of the entire Qur'an, as attested by authentic narrations. Al-Bukhari narrates, Ismail told us, Malik conveyed to me from Abd al-Rahman ibn Abdullah ibn Abd al-Rahman ibn Abi Sasa'a from his father, from Abu Sa'id, that a man overheard another man repeatedly reciting, Say, He is God, the One. When morning arrived, he approached the Prophet and mentioned this to him, as if the man considered it a minor matter. The Prophet then said, By him in whose hand is my soul, it is equivalent to 1/3 of the Qur'an. This equivalence is profound, for the singularity that the Messenger of God was instructed to proclaim, say, He is God the One, is a doctrine for the soul, an explanation of existence, and a guide for life. This chapter hence encapsulates the principal tenets of the grand truth of Islam. The expression, say, He is God, the One, is more precise than simply one, as it conveys that there is nothing alongside him and nothing is comparable to him. It signifies the unity of existence, for no true reality exists except His, and no true being exists except His being. Every other existence derives its being from that true existence, and every other reality draws its reality from that intrinsic reality. This chapter also signifies the unity of action, as there is no other actor nor any actor within this existence apart from Him. This is both a creed for the conscience and an interpretation of existence. When this interpretation becomes settled, and this concept is clarified, the heart is purified from all illusions, impurities and attachments to anything other than this singular unique essence that possesses the reality of existence and the reality of action. It is liberated from attachment to anything in this existence, even from the sensation of the existence of anything else. For no true existence exists except that divine existence, and no true action except the action of the divine will. Therefore, why should the heart attach itself to something that lacks true existence or action? When the heart is purified from the sensation of anything but the one reality and from attachment to anything but this reality, it becomes freed from all constraints and released from all bonds. It is liberated from desire, which is the root of many constraints, and from fear, which is the root of many bonds. What is there to desire when nothing is lost upon finding God? And who is there to fear when no action exists except that of God? When this concept is established, seeing nothing in existence but the reality of God, this perception will be accompanied by the vision of this reality in every other existence emanating from it. This is a state where the heart perceives the hand of God in everything it sees, and beyond that is the state where nothing is seen in the universe except God, for no reality exists to be seen except the reality of God. This is also accompanied by the denial of the efficacy of causes, attributing everything, every event and every movement to the primary cause from which it originated and by which it was influenced. This is the truth that the Qur'an places great emphasis on in the conception of faith. Thus it always sets aside apparent causes and directly connects matters to the will of God. And you did not throw when you threw, but it was God who threw. 8:17, and victory is not but from God. 3:136, and you do not will except that God wills. 81:29, and many more such examples. By setting aside all apparent causes and attributing everything to the will of God alone, tranquility permeates the heart. It finds the singular direction where it seeks what it desires and avoids what it fears, remaining serene in the face of visible forces, influences and causes that lack true existence. This path, which mystics have sought and which has drawn them far, is the path Islam wishes its followers to tread. Islam calls upon its adherents to journey toward this truth while enduring life's realities with all their characteristics, engaging in human existence, and fulfilling earthly stewardship with all its facets, all the while feeling that there is no reality except God, no existence but His existence, and no action but His action. From this, a comprehensive way of life unfolds, rooted in that interpretation and what it instills in the soul, perceptions, emotions, and orientations. It is a method for worshipping God alone, whose existence is the only reality, whose action is the only effective one, and whose will is the only influential one. It is a method for turning to God alone in desire and fear, in good times and bad, in blessings and adversity. Otherwise, what is the point of turning to something that does not truly exist, to a non-actor in existence? It is a method for receiving from God alone, receiving faith, concepts, values, scales, laws, regulations, manners and traditions. Reception can only be from the one existence and the single reality in actuality and in conscience. It is also a method for movement and action for the sake of God alone, seeking closeness to the truth. Aspirations for liberation from obstructive barriers and misleading impurities, whether within the depths of one's soul or in the surrounding entities and souls, include the barrier of self and the chains of desire and fear for anything in existence. This method connects the human heart with every existing thing through the bonds of love, familiarity, compassion, and harmony. It does not mean hating, avoiding, or fleeing from these things. All things emanate from the hand of God. They derive their existence from His existence, and they are illuminated by the light of this truth. Thus all are beloved, as they are gifts from the Beloved. This method is gentle and liberating. The earth appears small, worldly life short, and the pleasures of this life trivial. The aspiration to break free from these barriers and impurities is a noble goal and a cherished wish. However, in Islam, liberation does not mean seclusion, neglect, hatred, or escape. It means continuous striving and perpetual struggle to elevate all of humanity and liberate all human life. Therefore, it is about stewardship and leadership with all their burdens alongside freedom and liberation with all their elements. As mentioned before, the easy path of monastic isolation is not desired by Islam. Earthly stewardship and leadership for humans are part of the divine method of liberation. It is a more challenging path, but it is the one that realizes human dignity, achieving the triumph of the divine breath within the human being. This is the liberation of the soul to its divine source, realizing its lofty truth while working in the field chosen by its wise Creator. For these reasons, the initial call of Islam was concentrated on embedding the essence of monotheism in the hearts of believers. This form of monotheism, say He is God, who is one, is not just a verbal assertion nor a mere internal conviction. It is a comprehensive doctrine that shapes the conscience, interprets existence, and guides life's conduct. It embodies the totality of faith, encapsulating the entirety of religion. Any subsequent tenets and practices naturally stem from the establishment of this truth within the hearts. The deviations that marred the people of the book, distorting their beliefs, perceptions, and way of life, stemmed from the erosion of pure monotheism. Once this core tenet was obscured, it led to a cascade of other deviations. The uniqueness of Islamic monotheism lies in its profound integration into every aspect of life, forming the very foundation of existence and providing a practical, realistic method of living. Its influence is as evident in legislation as it is in belief. The foremost impact of this belief is the sovereignty of God's law over all aspects of life. Without this practical manifestation, monotheism is incomplete, as it exists only when its effects are realized in every dimension of life. The declaration that God is one signifies that he is the eternal refuge, neither begetting nor begotten, and there is none comparable to him. The Qur'an elaborates on these attributes for clarity. God, the eternal refuge. Linguistically, the eternal refuge denotes the ultimate Lord, the one to whom all matters return for resolution. God, exalted and beyond comparison, is the sole Lord. He is unique in his divinity, with all beings as his subjects. He alone is the answer to all needs, the one who responds to the distressed, decreeing all matters by his will, with none sharing in his command. This characteristic stems naturally from his being the absolute one, neither begetting nor begotten. God's essence is eternal and unchanging, marked by absolute perfection in all states. Birth implies a beginning and dependency, which contradicts God's nature, as does the concept of duality based on similarity. Thus, the attribute of God being one inherently negates both parent and child. And there is none comparable to him, 42:11 asserts that there is no equal to him, whether in the reality of existence, the reality of action, or any intrinsic attributes. This affirmation rejects the dualistic belief systems such as the Persian doctrine of a god of light and a god of darkness, which propose two opposing deities. This belief was known in regions like southern Arabia, influenced by Persian presence and power. This chapter, therefore, affirms and solidifies the Islamic doctrine of monotheism. Much like the chapter The Disbelievers, Chapter 109 rejects any overlap between monotheism and polytheism. Each chapter addresses the truth of monotheism from distinct perspectives. The Prophet Muhammad would begin his day during the dawn prayer by reciting these two chapters, emphasizing their significance and profound meaning.